question is, what do you think about the perspective of the culture about mental health and well-being?
Okay, I think, first, thank you for asking me to participate in this fantastic endeavor. And I would like to say that one of the key elements of any society is interaction. Because social interaction is at the heart of well-being, really. And not only people should interact with each other, but we should provide people with different levels of interaction. Going from a simple interaction between two people to a much larger one, like when you go to a stadium and you meet with like 20,000 people. Because people have a need for a social, for an emotional release, and you probably noticed if you've been to any of these places where there are a lot of people, you can shout, you can laugh, you can, release a lot of emotional energy without feeling under pressure. And of course, you need the very limited interaction between you and another person, because sometimes you want to release some secrets, that you want to share with other people. And in between, you have other different levels of social interaction, like 5 people or 10 people. You might gather and go and have lunch or go to the cinema or something like that. So not only social interaction has been interrupted, but all these different levels, which cater to specific needs, well-being is, in my opinion, severely affected.
Yes. All right.
I don't know if I have covered your first
You
question.
did. You did indeed. I actually in my school lead the well-being. I'm a senior leader in the well-being. So I think I do agree with you. The most affected and the most underrated topic is well-being, if you think about it.
Yes.
All right. So for the second question, I would like to ask, how do you think education can support the students mentally, perhaps? How can they get them out of the isolation period that we were at, a few months back?
If we're talking about the most vulnerable ones mentally, I suppose that we all agree that even in a very normal context, they have certain challenges. Okay? And you have families of mental disorders like anxiety, depression, OCD, you name it. And we have noticed as educators that these mental disorders would get aggravated if on top of that you have social seclusion. Okay, so because this is what we are witnessing these days, it is a severe seclusion, which is so these people have already a problem, connecting with others. Now, if you put more barriers and obstacles, it is definitely going to make that worse. In fact, I know somebody who has a severe OCD who can't even use any screen. Okay, so it can give you, because it's not always logical, the way these things operate, right? Or they at least don't make sense to us. Now, saying that, having said that, I think that there are advantages to less contact sometimes for some of them, because they can be selective. They can select the type of. For instance, now some of my students don't like to put on the camera, which is fine. You know, put your profile picture. You know, choose your best profile picture. So that's how you present yourself to the world. Opt for participating in a discussion or just listening. You know, so. I feel like the way we run our classes these days also allows for some freedom to those who would be vulnerable to a direct social contact in the classroom, for instance. You see, so it's never one way. It's you will always find some good advantages.
Yeah,
I'm afraid I have to mention that.
true. All right, perfect. So we just have two more questions. So the next question is, how far do you think the vaccine is gonna change all this around? Predictions.
I think everybody is saying that if we vaccinate about 70% of the population, we will be fine. Okay, so that's one way of eradicating the spread of the virus. Okay, it's a matter of statistics. Okay, so and probabilities. You know, if you have 77 people out of 10 that are vaccinated, if you look at the different interactions, though, so I think it will be fine. Now there is a reluctance from many people to take that vaccine for what many people think that there is this conspiracy theory that is spreading all over the place. And I think a better knowledge of the different vaccines and the right choice of the vaccine for people depending on their health and would be a good thing. And I'm very hopeful that life will come back very normally or even better, because I think we've learned a lot of things. And I think that we will have to enjoy every minute of it. Okay. And I think we've learned that. We know now what's to be with your friends. We know that it's not enough to have a million friends on the net. Sometimes you need only one that holds your hand. You know, it's as simple as this. And starting from this, I think many things will change.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. So for the last question, it is actually the most important question. So we really want to know your advice or your perspectives on how can we basically try to raise the awareness of mental health during isolation when the culture is denying the fact that and tradition and everything around us is denying the fact that mental health is not as important as your physical health.
I think it would be a big issue if people did not see the relationship between mental and physical health. It's the same body, when somebody tells you something nice, you feel better. Okay, so if you're told something bad, you go maybe red, angry, and there is a secretion of certain hormones and enzymes, in your body. So it's all related. We know that. I mean, now this is a well-established truth. And, I think that culturally we have to change our perception of mental illness, especially in the Arab world. I think they look at it as a demeaning thing, which is, but it should be looked at like any other problem. When you have a fever, you go to the doctor, you get some antibiotics if it is viral or whatever. If you have a kind of anxiety or something, maybe you should see the psychiatrist or the therapist, and that's fine. That's perfectly fine. Those guys help you overcome certain things. They will teach you how to deal with your anxiety triggers. They will teach you to think in the right way, you know. And that's perfectly normal, perfectly right. I think our parents, I mean us, your parents actually should realize that very quickly, and the whole society should just understand that this is something that should not be a big deal. Okay.
Most certainly. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Doctor. I have been having the honor to interview you. So that's all for me.